go up 57 and then a couple minutes on 294. Well, you can actually go straight up 57. I'm thinking of our house.
You go all straight up 57, yeah.
Yeah, you could. So we're going to go to Chicago. That's what we're doing. We're going to leave Champaign. We're going to talk about some Chicago sports.
Chi-Town.
The first team we're going to talk about.
Well, not for this part. Sit down for this part.
Well, the first team we're going to talk about is disappointing. We had them winning in the pick'em, but it's another week where their rookie quarterback of the future doesn't look too bright, has a bunch of turnovers, and then they lose by 30. Really quickly, a minute or two about the Bears. As a non-Bears fan, what are you thinking about how they look?
I mean, I think their defense looks good. I don't think Khalil Mack is playing this next game. That is an
true.
Important factor that I forgot to consider earlier when we did the pick.
It's
not going to change my pick, I don't think. But I don't think you can evaluate Justin Fields off of this year. Obviously, you can because he's been playing. But I think Matt Nagy, being a dog shit coach, has a really big impact on this. I don't know. I think it's tough to be a Bears fan right now.
It is very tough to be a Bears fan because here's what I'll say. Different how it was tough to be a Bears fan a couple of years ago. Now it's just tough because it's confusing about where the team's at. Because
it's confusing because you think your team is going to do good. Like, you have a good defense. You've had a good defense for the last,
you win good games. Sometimes that Vegas win felt nice. And you have Justin Fields. And, Justin Fields, even to this day, after 6 turnovers in one game, he has that spark feeling where it's like you watch the game and you're like, man, this team could beat.
He brings some certain energy to the team.
But like you said, Matt Nagy's struggling. The offensive line's starting to play a little bit better, but still struggling to keep them in the pocket and comfortable. Because at a certain point when you're young and you're getting hit, you're just going to think run.
Yeah, because I was going to say, too, Justin Fields is by no means still comfortable at the quarterback position. No. He still looks very uncomfortable.
And I wouldn't be if I was
behind the fucking line he has. At least behind the line that's been the way they've been playing.
So I think Dan Orlovsky and you said it best. You can't really judge Justin Fields yet. You can't evaluate him. I think
he's going to be a great quarterback.
I would never want the Bears to lose, but I don't want them to have a solid season because then that gives a reason for Matt Nagy to stick around, and I want him gone because I want to see someone flourish. I'm not saying that he's he's holding it back, individually, but I think that he's definitely part of the reason it's held back. So I think he just needs to get fired straight up. Yeah, and speaking of getting fired, and since we're in this solemn tone, if you guys haven't been keeping up back home, a lot of people just got fired, resigned from the Blackhawks, including general manager and president of operations Stan Bowman. This goes back to the 2010. It happened in 2010, and then the guy who was charged with it, or he was accused of it in 2010. So I found this out this morning, actually. The reason why it resurfaced this year from 2010 was that guy had touched a 15-year-old kid. So he had sexually assaulted a younger...
Just recently?
A junior hockey player.
Just recently?
Yes, just recently, which made the 2010 player be like, damn, I should have fucking said something from the start to make sure that never happened.
Wow.
So I believe his name is Kyle Beach. I'm trying to think of it off the top of the head. I don't have any laptop or phone open, so if it's wrong, I apologize, but... He was on the roster in 2010, Stanley Cup run. The video coach makes an inappropriate sexual advance. You never want to fucking hear that. And something that hurt even more was that a lot of the senior executives of that team knew.
Yeah, and
they were told about it.
And they just buried it.
Basically what they did was they told the video coach, we're either going to investigate it or resign right now. The guy chose to resign, and then they just acted like
and nothing was ever done about this.
Sadly, there was also reports that players had made inappropriate comments towards the guy after, because apparently everybody fucking knew. So that's the part that
I didn't know this part.
The Blackhawks organization didn't make the right moves. They did not. But at this point, everybody who was an executive that time,
so they were making fun of him because he got.
Yeah. So the dude name who did all the touching, his first name is Brad. So there was allegations. Kyle Beach had said that the season after they were just skating on the ice practicing, and someone's like, "Oh, what happened? Do you miss your boyfriend Brad?" And they kept making those kind of jokes.
That's kind of fucked.
The part that hurts for me is
that's fucked.
I am a huge Blackhawks fan. So that part hurts, but I understand that sometimes that type of shit happens in operations, and I know that executive level people are pieces of shit for the most part.
And see, that's a big reason why the Washington football team is kind of under a lot of speculation. Obviously, different.
They're trying to sweep that under the rug too.
I know, but that's what I mean. These execs, even though you don't like to see this shit happen to your team, it has to be done because you can't support that type of behavior.
Time and time again have shown that they're pieces of shit, and I'm never anybody who's going to support a team that does some stuff like that. And even they released the typical PR stunt or press release where they're like, we've made changes and all that, and they have. The one thing that I'm worried about right now is Joe Quenneville is going to go talk to the commissioner. He was the coach of the Blackhawks, so like mustache guy. I don't know if you ever saw that when we were making all those runs. He's a huge part of why I love sports. So like I hope he didn't have to like he said he even claims he knew about it, but he wasn't necessarily the person to make a decision. And the thing I was going to get to was Jonathan Toews. He was the guy who got me into hockey. Hockey got me into sports as much as I am, so it's a big deal in my like. Yeah. He's up there with Tom Brady and guys I idolized. Okay. And he's the captain of that team. And he was the captain of that team in 2010. So if all this player shit is going on with all that, he's kind of in charge of that locker room in a way. Yeah. So I'm not saying it's Jonathan Toews' fault, but it's...
But like as a leader of that locker room, you expect him...
If something goes down in Green Bay, Aaron Rodgers is going to be the first player people look at, and Jonathan Toews is doing that, especially since he actually wears that C on his jersey. Yeah. And it's the same captain from when he was in 2010. So I was looking at Twitter because when they released that press release, I don't read the press... Like, I read it, but it's the same shit every time.
But yeah,
I
read
the comments
like
and the
typical
tweets. Yeah. And everyone was saying, fuck you, fuck all that type of shit. And then someone said, release Jonathan Toews. He should not still be captain after all this. And I was like, wow. I did not want to see that. And I didn't even think of that until I saw that tweet. But once I saw it, I was like...
I mean, it kind of makes... Yeah, I mean, especially if that's...
If the player part is true.
Yeah. Well, I mean... The thing is, I could see that actually being true. Like, I could see that being very much what was going on in that locker room on the ice
I will say, and I'm never, ever going to make excuses for anybody, but the reason why it does make sense that happened was 2010 was a much different time than 2021. Sports locker rooms, when you're just with the team, it's a very different environment.
Yes.
And... At least in my opinion, no offense to anybody if you get offended, hockey players tend to be a little bit more on that sketch like wheel when it comes to what you say. I didn't want to say douche or anything like that.
No,
but like,
that's
they
why
bring more of that, like, they talk shit more. When they talk shit, they're actually talking like... They're spewing. It's like being in an Xbox party.
I mean, hockey players are fucking just like always on the ice rink hitting each other. They're brutal. Like they have that persona to them.
It's less fuck you and it's more you're a pussy type of shit talk. Like, exactly. They're coming at you and saying things that are gonna hurt. I'm not gonna say anything that's gonna get me canceled because we don't do that.
Agreed.
So I'm gonna stick with pussy, but you can fill in any word there and understand how that goes. So I can
see that being a thing, but obviously, like you said, like now in 2021, looking back at that, you're like, you know what, you can't do that, and you have to be accountable for that. Yeah. You can't continue to be the captain of a team if you were. At least I don't think you should. Obviously, there are going to be people who disagree, but you just can't. See, that wasn't a thought in my mind either until you just said that. Just how, like, similar to you, like, that wasn't a thought in your head until you read the comment. But thinking about it, you're like...
And you never want to hear that.
Yeah.
And the thing that sucks
especially like you said, that's a guy you idolize.
Yeah, I mean, like... When you're a little kid and you're 10 years old and this is the team that's winning championships every year, like, that's the team you're going to follow hardcore and you're going to follow the captain. Like, I like Toews more than I even like Kane. Like, Kane's obviously a better player. Yeah. He's the GOAT of the Blackhawks type of thing. But, like, if you were saying, do you want a Jonathan Toews or a Patrick Kane jersey, go into my closet right now and you'll find a number 19. You won't find a number 88. Yeah. So, that was my guy.
That's tough.
I hope whatever's going on over there gets fixed, and I mean that in both... Obviously, this situation and the way they're playing because they're dog shit too. Yeah,
so hopefully that everything on an organizational level gets fixed, everything on the ice rink gets fixed. Yep. The only reason why I know some about hockey is because of you. So you are the guy I will delegate to for a hockey. Always, I have a hocky jersey as well. I line a hockey jersey.
These are nice.
But yeah, those are fucking.
But what I will say, and this is like my silver lining because, like you said, you don't know too much. So this was me. I more wanted to talk about this segment because it's and it's
something that we should talk about.
Yeah, because, I mean, if you don't know about the situation, like, teams you love will fuck up. And this is the first time, other than, like, Deflategate, that, like, a team that I love is actually part of, like, a scandal. Like, I never had a Houston Astros or a guy on this team, like, fuck Aaron Hernandez, I guess. The Patriots, man, they get into a lot of shit now that I think about it.
Yeah, the Patriots did get into a lot of shit.
But here's the silver lining of all this, and so that we can transition into some positive shit, because we don't have too much time left, is that Stan Bowman, the GM, is gone. Yes. And... Do you see how much Chicago hates Matt Nagy right now?
Yes.
Among people who actually care about the Blackhawks, like no hockey and like that, Stan Bowman is the combination of how much we hate Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace and Mitchell Trubisky. All of that combined into one.
Wow.
Because you got to think, we went from being an elite championship team every year, caliber team, to dog shit because he made every wrong move. He's like Jerry Krause?
Jerry Krause? Yeah.
It's like you built a good team and then you blew it the fuck up with no return. Yeah. And now we have... I mean, the last time I watched the Hawks game, we were playing the Penguins. They were down 4-0 after the first period we had given up 24 shots in the first period. You're supposed to give up 24 shots the whole game. So,
I don't know, that's kind of crazy.
but they play at the United Center, and Marco, who else plays at the United Center?
The Chicago Bulls,
The
who
who?
have been
Undefeated.
the number one team in the NBA.
Now,
In the East, at least.
I just want to say this because it's basketball and teams are able to lose any night. But as of right now, since Ayo Dosunmu was drafted by the Chicago Bulls, they have not lost a game. Preseason, regular season,
you know what? I like that you said
undefeated,
that. Clip that.
Ayo Dosunmu. And you know what? He gets way more minutes. He's not the key to why they're doing what they're doing. I have to say with that because we're here.
But Ayo Dosunmu, I mean, shit, that's our boy. Like,
that's our boy.
that's our
and
guy.
Alex Caruso, love him. He's leading the NBA with like 1,700 steals. He has like 13, I believe.
He's a fucking dog. DeMar DeRozan, Zach LaVine, Lonzo Ball, like, everybody has been stepping the fuck up.
Happy birthday, Lonzo.
Happy birthday, Lonzo. As of us recording this today, it is October 27th. Happy Glow Day.
Happy Glow Day, Lonzo. But yeah, that the team that they put together, it was like, you saw it. I was reading this Bleacher Report article, and it said storylines we weren't expecting, and included like Dame not shooting too well all the time. And it said the Chicago Bulls are back. And I don't know if it's because I live in Chicago, but I swear to God, that's all I was seeing on Twitter for the last 5 months.
Yeah, I mean, ever since we made that trade deal, everybody was fucking saying, dude, we're going to run this fucking league. Well, now, granted, come to playoff times, will we be one of the top 3 teams? We could be. We realistically could be.
The reason I like this Bulls team is they're actually one of those teams that have a good balance of offensive ability and defense.
Yeah, we're fucking dogs on both ends of the court. Zach LaVine is still being Zach LaVine. It seems like he gets better every fucking year.
He does.
Like, and then I had him pair him with DeMar DeRozan and a good point guard
on my fantasy team.
So he got cut off there as I was explaining it, but basically, the Bulls are back in town, baby.
The Bulls are back in town.
The Bulls are here, and they're here to fucking stay.
You know what? For a while, the Bears were solid, and the Hawks were good.
They were solid for 1 year.
Who?
The Bears.
That's cap.
11-5.
I mean, we went to the playoffs twice with Mitchell Trubisky.
Twice.
Okay, well, we're not Green Bay. I get it, but you're still making playoffs. It's a good thing.
Sure, and the NFL is different, so you know what?
I'm saying over the 2010s, we had a couple. We went to the NFC Championship game. We had our seasons here. The Bears weren't as bad as they are right now.
But the Bulls.
Now the Bulls were dog shit for a while, and they're back. The Sox were dog shit for a while, and they're back. The Cubs were here, and they went back to being dog shit.
Yep.
I love sports for that reason.
That's fucking cool. Yeah. Well, that's one reason why I love baseball, because baseball is so unpredictable. Like
there's too many games.
There's 162 games. There's so many fucking people on a roster.
Yeah.
And then you have to think about minor leagues too. There's so many moving parts. I've said this before, and I remember me and my roommate were kind of arguing about this. But out of being a general manager for all the sports, excluding soccer, like professional soccer, baseball is the hardest sport to be a GM in.
Yeah.
By far.
Because of the whole farm system bullshit.
Yeah, you have international players, you have your minor, you have AAA, AA.
Because the way I look at it is the easiest league to be a GM. Obviously, this isn't saying that these guys' jobs aren't ridiculously hard. The easiest would be the NFL. Because there's a pool of guys, you get your 52, and if they don't make someone else's 52, they're available for you to get if you want to go get them.
I'll agree.
NHL, you got one farm team. You got your AHL team, so it's like, you can kind of bounce around between that. NBA, you have your pseudo minor leagues with G League. But baseball and all these other places, like you're controlling a system of like 6-7 teams. So it's like that 53rd guy in football who's a free agent in the NFL, he would just be on a minor league team. So free agents are usually dog shit in baseball and all these other leagues, unless it's just a star who wants to break his contract and sign somewhere else. Yeah. But like middle of the season free agents aren't a thing in baseball. Really.
Yeah, it's really hard to come across some shit like that.
It's like you have had to have this guy in your system. It's like having a fantasy team and then being allowed like 14 bench spots so that you can just build guys up and wait for them to develop.
Yeah, that is kind of that would be kind of a cool idea just for 1 year.
It would, but then there would be
that'd be too crazy.
To the waiver wire.
Yeah,
there'd be 0 points because there'd be
guys
like
basically is the way that is already right now.
You can go get a guy who can drop 9 or 10.
You could.
Like KJ Osborne isn't the worst pick.
All right, but now drifting back a little bit to what we were originally talking about with the Chicago Bulls. I'm just very excited.
Yes.
And it feels great to be in Chicago, right? Be a Chicago Bulls fan specifically.
Yes.
And now that basketball season is fully here and we've been playing great. This week we do have some teams that I think, like for example, I think we play.
They go on a tough stretch.
Yeah, so you go on a tough stretch, and I think that's gonna define who the Bulls are. Like I know we play the Jazz.
Yeah, we do.
The Knicks I think we could beat. Are we playing the Knicks today?
So I don't know when we're playing all those guys, but this guy tweeted it earlier. I know he did. I fucking know you did. Where's it?
Why don't you just go to ESPN?
Here you go. So the Bulls are 4-0 right now. Their next 12 games: Knicks, Jazz, Celtics, 2 against the Sixers, Nets, Mavericks, Warriors, Clippers, Lakers, Trailblazers, Nuggets.
That's tough.
I mean, that's a fucking stretch.
That is 12,
There's not one bad team.
12 games?
There's not one bad team. Like, the easiest team that we're playing is, like...
Mavericks.
Trailblazers.
Oh, Trailblazers. I agree. I forgot how you said that.
And at any point, Dame can drop 40.
Nuggets. Because all they got is Jokic right now. Not even Jamal Murray's there.
Yeah, I guess.
Besides the point. Like, that, we're playing a tough stretch of 12 games.
Yeah.
Like,
if the worst team, if you were debating between the Trailblazers and the Nuggets, 2 teams that went to the fucking playoffs last year, as our easiest games, it's like...
that is a very good point to make. But I think we can beat a lot of those teams.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we grab all of them, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to grab all of them. But if we can grab even, like, 60% of those games...
Even if you just grab half, you're ending that stretch.